Hey, welcome, More Church fam. Super glad that you're here with us.
Yes, we are stepping into week 9 of our Headspace series. And this is really the beginning of the second chapter.
Second chapter time, we're talking about my crazy.
Come on.
Because I don't know about you, but I got a little crazy in me still.
I got a little crazy.
And so we've laid the foundation of how to navigate the headspace.
Right.
But now, what do we do about those corners of crazy in our life?
Yep, so today we're going to take a step into something kind of unique.
Yeah.
But I hope you'll stick around for the whole thing because we believe that it really is the foundation for everywhere that we're going as we continue to navigate the headspace.
Today, we're talking about something I've literally never heard talked about on a Sunday morning, how we did it. We're talking about our physical health, how our body impacts our mind.
That's
so
right.
Get ready. It's going to be good. Let's get to work. It's because we're making progress, guys.
That's right.
We're making progress
That's
in the headspace.
Yes.
We're doing better. We're learning the foundations of how to control what's happening in our head. And so we're in a new era of the series.
That's right. We have been looking at the verse in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And there's a renewing that's happening in this place.
That's right.
Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will.
Yeah, and so as we're in a new season of the headspace, we decided to get out of the heavy piece because we're making progress.
That's right.
And now we're going to hone it in. We're going to focus in because all of us have a little bit of crazy that's still left. You know you do. You know you got a little bit of crazy. I've got my crazy. You've got your crazy. We've all got some corners of crazy in the headspace. And so for the next couple weeks, we're going to be looking at some of these areas that we need to hone in on and focus on. Now that we have a foundation of what the Bible says about capturing our thoughts and having victory and tearing down high places and not falling into patterns.
And we know and believe that he's going to do a new thing.
That's right.
We're going to declare Isaiah 43:18 and 19. Forget the former things.
Come on.
Do not dwell on the past.
Yep.
Maybe you've been dwelling on some things of the past, but we're stepping into a whole new era. It says, see, I am doing a new thing.
Yeah.
Now it springs up. Do you perceive it? I'm making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. I don't know what's been a wasteland in your life, but he's making a way, y'all. He's bringing some streams of living water into your life and into your circumstance, and so he's doing a new thing.
Over the next couple weeks, we're going to hone into our crazy and some specific ideas.
That's
We're
right.
going to talk about our own worry. Any worriers out there? We're going to talk about how to navigate worry. We're going to talk about how to navigate our insecurities that want to hold us back and slow us down. The shame that wants to steal all the things that God has for us. These internal voices in our head that tell us what we aren't. We're going to talk about how we think that we're not enough. I'm nervous to even preach that one. I told Pastor Whitney, I got it on the calendar, and I was like, I'm nervous because sometimes I still feel like I'm not enough.
Right.
We're going to talk about how we need to allow rest and pace in our life because we've all got some crazy, but we're believing God's doing a new thing here
That's
at
right.
Barth Church, and he's going to do a new thing in you. But the idea we're talking about today is crazy. The fact that we're about to take a whole service to talk about what we're talking about, it's a little bit crazy today.
Yeah, but 4 years ago, God told us to build the people, and that if we would build the people, he would build the church.
Yeah.
And so we're committed to doing that, mind, body, and soul. Like, we're going to be a holistically healthy church.
We've been looking at this verse, Proverbs 23, verse 7, throughout the whole series. It says, as a man thinks
That's right.
in his heart, so is he. And so we're talking about how we're building ourselves, and it all starts in the headspace about what's going on up in here. And so let me see how you guys are doing, how your memory is. We've been saying that your mind lives where? In the brain. Good job. So your mind, your memories live in the matter, the physiology of the brain. But let me ask you a question. Where does your brain live? In your head. Your brain lives in your head. What's your head connected to? Your body. So if your mind lives in your brain and your brain lives in your head and your head is attached to your body, then it would make sense that what's happening in your body is affecting your brain, which is affecting your mind, which is affecting everything else in your life.
Come on.
And so today we're going to talk about everything happening under the neck.
Come on.
About what's happening in our body.
That's right.
And so we got some brains, as Pastor Whitney was so wonderfully displaying.
We ordered these on Amazon and thought they were going to be like this, but then they came and they were like this.
Amazon be tricky sometimes.
So thankfully, the kids team has this because they be doing all kind of things in kids service, and so they let us borrow it.
Pastor Tim told me he borrowed this from Kyle's head. He didn't need it during the service, is what Tim said. Said he got it. He said he's Kyle, I don't know how you're doing, but there it is. And so, listen. This message today is not about getting your sexy back. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about having a beach body. We're talking about how our body, our physiology affects our headspace.
That's right.
Because when this thing is unhealthy, this thing is unhealthy, and guess what? This thing is unhealthy.
Right,
and
right.
this is unhealthy. All of it's unhealthy.
Everything's unhealthy, yeah.
So man, I'm excited. Here at More Church, we teach full health. Like Pastor Whitney said, we talk about building the people, and so we're gonna do that. So we love illustrations, so we came up with a illustration on our whiteboard in the office this week.
That's right.
Because all of us are pursuing full health, right? And so our full health is made of a couple pieces. We need to be emotionally healthy. We wanna be mentally healthy.
Yep.
And we also want to be physically healthy. These are kind of the physiology of how we're broke up in our health.
And the truth is, a lot of us get excited about certain circles right now that you see on the screen.
Right.
For some people, they love focusing on their emotional health. And so they're like, hey, I'll dig into that. I will talk about that. I want to look at my emotional health, but maybe they ignore their mental health.
Right. Some people are big mental health people. They're going to take the time off and they're going to, read all the books and they're going to get all the degrees and all the things. And we're like, mental health is a big deal. And there's other people that really focus on the physical health. They've got the six pack and the guns and all the things, and they're always in the gym and, eating their vegetables and, all the things. And they're focused on the physical health, but maybe the other ones kind of fall to the side.
Right. And then if you grew up in church, at least the kind of church I grew up in, you kind of look at it and feel like, okay, those things are all cool. And then I come to church on Sunday and I'll focus on my spiritual health. So let's just put it over here because they're not really connected. But here at More Church, we believe that it's all connected.
Right.
And that in order to step into the more that God has for us, we have to focus on our spiritual health and recognize how significant that is.
But it's not just that it's over there, but it's not even that it's equal to the others. Because your spiritual health, it's not like it's just bumped down in the bottom and they're kind of all the same circle. That's not the accurate depiction of our spiritual health. What the truth is, the Bible says, is our spiritual health encapsulates everything else in our life. Our spiritual well-being should surround all of these other ideas. Because for me, when I started going to counseling, and Rachel and I were going to marriage counseling to fix the relational stuff, it was because we were surrounded in some spiritual health that the other things started to feel a little bit better.
And stepping into more really is a tug.
Yeah.
It's a tension, it's a fight, it's a tightening of our spiritual health. And the more it tightens, the more it lassos around the rest of our life, the more you start to see overlap in all of those areas of your life.
Yeah. The broader the spiritual health gets, they start to push and push and push on the physical, the emotional, and mental. And then in this overlap area is where we're actually healthy. Because if you're only healthy in your body, but you're not healthy in your mind, are you actually a healthy person? If you're healthy in your emotions, but your body is broken and falling apart, are you really able to do everything that God's called you to do? And it's through thickening our spiritual center, our circle, pushing it all in, that we can start to really make progress.
And that health score really matters because out of the outflow of that is where we find full peace in our life.
Yeah.
It's where we're able to have peace that surpasses understanding. The chaos swarming and surrounding us may be existing out there, but we can have full peace out of the outflow of that.
Yeah, so there's this outflow from the center of our health that leads to a whole bunch of things. We got one more slide, and it shows that our full peace, like who we really are, scoot over so you can see it online. Wait, you got, boom, there it is. You see it online? We want our online people to see the little center of it.
Oh.
So we've got, out of the center of the health of these things comes our full peace. That then we can really have peace because mind, emotional, body is in alignment.
And then go.
No, you hit it. I love it.
I was pointing at it. The flourishing relationships in our life.
She's better at that one than me for sure.
Are part of what the outflow of our spiritual development. The more we continue to grow in our spiritual health and our health score continues to grow, then the relationships around us can begin to flourish.
Yeah.
Instead of falling apart, instead of being full of chaos, they can flourish into all the more that God has for us.
And then last is our future capacity. That Truston in 20 years is determined by his health score today. Mental, physical, and emotional, right? That how I'm doing there is going to determine what God can use me to accomplish later in my life, my future capacity. And when we would understand the importance of being healthy, then we wouldn't just stick our head in the sand concerning some of these ideas, and we would really deal with it.
And be okay with the fact that if one of these is off, then everything is off.
Right.
And we have to accept that in order to be able to step into all the more that God's called us to. That's why we're going to talk about physical health today, because God designed our bodies to be self-healing and to be healthy.
Yeah, God designed us to live in a garden, right? Eating beautiful foods and healthy and vibrant, but we now live in a world that's trying to kill us. We live in a very fallen and broken world,
right.
And the world that we live in, through all these things we're putting into our bodies and we're surrounded by, it's literally degrading the thing that God's created for us to live in. You look at the average American diet, and it's not for longevity. It's not for health. Like, I love the drive-through, but come on. Like, is this really gonna benefit the long-run health of my body?
Right.
The culture that we have of never stopping. We're gonna keep on driving and grinding and pushing like that. Our culture, our society is not one of health. The unavoidable stresses that we find, that we constantly have an email chirping on us and letting us know what we need to be doing, and the unavoidable stress that is everywhere, every single day, pushing us. And then, honestly, Western medicine is not always the best. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take medicine. We're actually gonna say maybe you should as we get a little bit deeper into this. But sometimes we just find ourselves popping a pill for every little thing, where there might be a deeper issue.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're putting a Band-Aid on something that we need to deal with in a different way. And long term, that stuff can be stealing our physical health.
Right. And so the pattern of this world really is created now to make us not healthy, to physically be unfit. And we've lived it. We've fallen into it. And last week, man, as we were looking through all the pictures of the last 15 years, we started seeing different seasons and different eras. And man, I could look into some of the eyes of the lady that I was over the last 15 years, and I could see where her mental health was not okay, where her emotional health was not okay. And oftentimes in those moments when my emotional health and my mental health was not okay, also my physical health was not okay. My insides were showing on my outside because I was not okay. And so, man, we are gonna use our own lives as canvases today to talk about the cycle of an unhealthy headspace and how it all is encompassing in our physical, in our emotional, and in our mental.
You caught me with that line. You said my insides were showing.
Yeah.
But it's like what's happening on the inside of our emotions and our mindset comes out in our body so many times. But what's happening in our body is affecting the inside too. And so due to that season, what would we call it? Like the COVID season?
Well,
like
it was even before that. We were thriving and the church was growing, and man, we were like out of space, and that's when we were gonna have to go back to set up and tear down because we needed more. And then it was like COVID hit, and it took us, like jerked us from thriving to like dying and like stressing and like trying to survive. And I mean, that was before Get Off the Throne, before Devil versus Default, before we'd really dealt with a lot of the internal health. And then COVID hit, and it was like a tipping point, I think, moment for us of the swirling storm of stress.
And I remember in that season that really all those series are birthed from.
Right.
Because sometimes hardship is the thing that teaches you how to navigate it healthier next time. And so through that season, I remember feeling like I was about to break. Like I wanted to quit. I remember like praying with Rachel, like, can we just pray to not do this anymore? Like, can I please just go get a job where I can like punch in and punch out and not have to like love all these people all the time? Can I just like go and do something that's way easier with my life? Because I was just exhausted, man. I was just like beat down emotionally, mentally, and physically. And I just felt like I just couldn't keep going.
Yeah, I remember this very specific moment in COVID. Our families were spending a lot of time together, and Titus wanted to learn how to fish. And so we went to this creek over by our house and we were fishing, and we took this picture, and I have a bunch of pictures now. And I look at this lady, and she was so sad. She was so stressed out, and she wasn't sleeping. She was trying to do everything to make it keep going. She's making a video right there, inviting all the people to come to the Quarantine Queen Mother's Day out on the land, y'all. You gotta be there, you gotta be, and like, but behind her eyes is so much anxiety and stress and depression, if I'm honest. We were in New York City when COVID like shut down the world. And
Whitney's the one that brought it back to Texas. It was Whitney that brought it.
Sorry, y'all. But I remember taking this picture, but climbing up the stairs to get here, I was just like, so out of breath, so overwhelmed. And like, when I look back at this season, it was really, honestly, it was right after this picture when I looked at her that I thought, I have got to get my junk together or I'm about to be taken out.
Yeah. Do I have to show mine now?
Yes, now you do.
I don't like this part. So here's Truston's fat montage. I remember in this season feeling so bad. You know, and you have this job where you have to stand in front of video cameras, and you're like, this is awesome, you know? I remember I would leave the church and I would go home, and I would get home at 5:30, and like my kids would be home, and I would just sit down on the couch with the intention of being an engaged dad. But my body just felt so exhausted that I would just sit on the couch. I wasn't trying to fall asleep, but I would just start doing the nod, and Rachel would be like, are you asleep? I'm like, no, and then like 7:30 would hit, and she would come and shake me and would then go get the kids in bed. And I wasn't actually spending any time with the kids because my body just was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I was suffering adrenal fatigue. You know, you can only like get up so many times and like tell yourself to man up so many times until it just breaks. And in that season, God started to speak to me, and he said, hey, Truston, what I've called you to do doesn't even all the way begin until you're 65. I was like, what? I still don't even know what that means. I still don't even know what he's called me to do. But he was like, are you gonna be able to do it? Because like at 38, you're about to die. You feel like garbage. And if you don't do something about this in your physical health, you're not gonna be able to do everything I've called you to through your spiritual health.
It's really good.
And so we had to make a shift.
Yeah, and I think that that's why it's so important as we're talking about it today. If you're new here, you're like, this doesn't feel like a regular sermon. and it's not a regular sermon,
right.
But it is super spiritual. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20 says, don't you realize, which I love the way that the question is posed.
Right.
Don't you realize that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit,
right,
who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price. He gave everything for us because of what he wanted to be in relationship with us and the more that he has for our lives. And so it says, so you must honor God with your body.
Right.
And when I look at those pictures, I see people who were honoring God with their time. They were honoring God with their energy.
Yeah.
They were honoring God with their sermons and their video clips and connecting and ordering all the things to get people to stay connected and come by and get an Easter drive-through on COVID 2020. But they were not honoring God with their bodies.
Right.
They were not taking the time to be physically healthy so that they could be all that God called them to be.
And over time, that's gonna catch up. And so today is a very non-traditional conversation, but we love y'all enough to have it. And we're not doctors. I'm not a doctor. Whitney is not a doctor. We are just telling you our journey of what we've walked through and the little bit that we've learned along the way about navigating our headspace through our physical health.
Yeah, because really believing and understanding that it was all connected in stepping into like the next season of what God had for us. The enemy was trying to take us out.
Right.
When you recognize that he's out to steal, kill, destroy your life, and he'll really use any of those avenues, your emotional, your mental, or your physical health to do it, then it makes you get a little bit of fight in you to say, hey, we're gonna step into this and we're gonna step into it together.
Right, so there's gonna be a couple heavy points today.
So when that happens, I'm just gonna do this.
So we've got a couple brains that we're just gonna throw some brains because we're learning to navigate the headspace.
And so then you'll love us and not be mad.
So at any point we're talking and we're like, oh man, this is heavy, we're just gonna throw some colorful brains at you.
And then you'll laugh.
So we've got 5 points that we're gonna walk through today about how we can keep our body healthy so our headspace can be healthy. Number 1, if you're taking notes, is sleep. Everyone say sleep, say sleep, say sleep.
Michael's booing us already, okay.
When you're getting booed by your staff, you know you're in trouble. You know, your sleep is the most important thing for brain health. The most important thing to have a healthy brain is to be rested.
Right.
Brain repair happens while you sleep. Memory consolidation. You know, you can study all day, but if you have a bad night's sleep, you're not gonna hold on to it.
Right.
Remember the week that we talked about neurological pathways and going to grandma's house and how you can have neuroplasticity? That does not happen in the moment. It happens while you're sleeping.
Right.
And if you're not sleeping, your brain's not gonna rewire itself.
You know, if you drive tired, it's actually proven that it's worse than if you're driving drunk. Don't drive drunk.
Right.
Don't do that. but also don't drive tired.
Well, Pastor said, no, that's not what we're saying.
No, that's not what I said. You have to recognize how important rest and sleep is to your physiological body.
When you get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you're literally washing your brain. So if you like to wash your hands, sleep, and it's like washing your mind. It's allowing your brain to reset. And so for me, in this season, I had to start prioritizing my sleep. I had to set an alarm that said what time I was gonna go to bed. Because you just be doom scrolling,
right,
looking at nothing. And so for years, I don't have to do it anymore, but for years, I would set an alarm at 9 o'clock, would go on my phone, and at 9 o'clock, it meant turn the TV off, brush your teeth, it's time to get in bed.
You know, some people, I'll hear them say, you know, sleep doesn't really affect me the way it does other people. I can run on like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. No, you can't. That's why you're constantly fighting with your spouse.
Whoa.
That's why you're taking 5-hour energies in order to get through the day.
Yeah.
That's why you drank a whole pot of coffee before you got to work.
Yeah.
You cannot. It does affect you.
Right.
You are not superhero. You are human. You're not a robot.
Dang.
You need sleep.
Whitney just went hard.
Well,
It's true.
Somebody
it's good.
needs it. I don't know.
The thing is, so I had to be intentional to have a dark room.
Right.
To put a sound machine on. I had to be intentional to make a space. Rach and I, we literally went and bought a new, like, expensive mattress. Can I just tell you, stop buying brand new cars if you have a 20-year-old mattress.
Right. It's true.
Quit flexing on having the nicest purse or whatever if you can't sleep and your back hurts.
Come on.
Like, your sleep is literally changing your headspace. Go.
Oh, don't eat like after 7 p.m. What are you doing? Because you're gonna eat a bunch of food, then you lay in bed, then you wonder why you can't fall asleep.
Well, you eat late at night and you're giving your body a job. Because you're telling your body at 9 o'clock, digest all of this food. And then this part of my body is really busy digesting, and I want this part to go to sleep, and it just doesn't work, so I had to not eat late at night.
And then moms and dads, like, I love you and you love your kids, but they have beds too, and they need to sleep in their beds and not your beds. Because if they only sleep in your bed, then you don't sleep and they don't sleep and nobody's sleeping, and that is exhausting. I remember when Easton was about 10 months old, Aaron's mom and dad came to visit for Thanksgiving, and they took him for the night and were like, we're gonna let him cry it out, we're gonna let him sit, because I couldn't do it. I was like, no, my baby, right? But they were like, we're gonna let him cry, he's gonna figure it out. And after they left, he slept in his own bed for the rest of forever, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing that ever happened to my life.
But for your own health, it's worth the fight.
Right.
And all the dog parents in the room.
Oh, come on, get them.
If your dog's waking you up in the middle of the night, put it somewhere else. Like, don't kill it, just leave it not, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't put it at my house, but like, put it somewhere so you can sleep good. I talk to people and they'll be like, well, Pastor, hey man, you know, I just gotta smoke out a little bit. I gotta smoke something before I can go to sleep. It helps me relax. Can I tell you that if you're smoking weed to go to sleep, you're never entering REM. Study it, type it in YouTube. Prove me wrong. You're not entering REM's rapid eye movement. You're not actually resting. Your body is asleep, but your mind isn't.
Yes.
And so we have to understand these things. And let me just, if you're snoring all night and your wife or your husband is keep elbowing you and you get all embarrassed about it, go and have a sleep study done. Do you understand that sleep apnea will take 15 years off your life? You're essentially suffocating all night, causing heart arrhythmia, and you're gonna die early. I love you so much, I'm gonna talk about it on a Sunday.
Right.
Go and get the Darth Vader action. Listen, snoring loud is not sexy anyways. So like, just do the thing. I bought one of those little deals you put in your mouth and it pulls your bottom jaw forward. And I'm telling you, I could breathe.
That's what it is, your tongue falls back. That's what it is.
So get one of those little deals or get one of them little magnet things that makes your nostrils bigger. I don't know. What do you need to do to get a better night's sleep?
The thing that changed my life was taking magnesium, because this is a supplement, like a mineral that we need, but because the world we live in is designed to kill us, we don't have enough of it. And I'm telling you, I put it off because they're giant horse pills and I am a wuss when it comes to taking pills. And then I just convinced myself I'm a wuss and I can't take pills. But the truth is, when I will just choke that down every night, I will sleep so good, I will fall asleep, first of all, I will stay asleep, and I will wake up rested. And so sometimes we just need to pay attention to our sleep and see how it's affecting our headspace.
Well, and maybe we don't need to take the drugs to go to sleep. We just need to take the magnesium to go to sleep. Right? See what I'm saying? And so we've got to be aware.
Like when your alarm goes off in the morning, do you hate it every morning? Yeah, see?
Yeah, then maybe it's worth investing a little bit in your night routine to go to bed on time.
Are you short or unkind or intolerant to people that you love very much? Maybe it's that you're not getting enough sleep.
Right. If you get invited to go somewhere and don't go, maybe it's not that you're antisocial, maybe you're just exhausted. Maybe you've never been to a life group, not because you don't like people, but because you're just tired. And friends, if you can battle that exhaustion piece, it's gonna help your headspace.
Because the enemy wants to make you feel isolated and alone. Therefore, he does everything in his power to keep you from community when God has designed us to live in a relationship. But if we're exhausted, we can't live in a relationship. We just wanna not be anywhere that we are, especially around people. And so go be with people.
We love you.
Yay!
We love you.
Yay!
We care about you.
Okay,
number 2. After sleep is hydration. Everyone say hydration. Guys, to have healthy brain activity, we have to be hydrated.
Yeah.
We live in a world trying to kill us. The food God intended us to eat was full of hydration, but now we're eating stuff out of bags and boxes that has no water in it.
Right.
Let me just read some of this.
Okay.
The brain is composed mainly of water. So dehydration can cause the brain to shrink. This shrinkage puts pressure on brain structure and it leads to headaches, confusion, and memory loss. 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated. Guys, 75% of us are chronically dehydrated. And so we're demanding our brain to do all this stuff while we're stressed all the time, and we don't have our brain hydrated to do its job.
Well, it affects the way we're able to focus, the way we're able to pay attention, the way we're able to solve problems. That's why when you're in a meeting and you just start yawning and feel exhausted, rather than being able to engage and try to have, I had the answers, I knew what I wanted to say there, but I kind of can't recall what I want to say in the moment I want to say it, it's probably just because you're dehydrated.
Right, and so what we do is we take all these additives, we take an energy drink or we eat a bunch of sugar or caffeine, which are drugs.
Right. Sugar's drugs.
Just because it doesn't say RX on it and come in a bottle doesn't mean it's not a drug.
Right.
But water is of the Lord. It's what he made our body from. And if we'll stay hydrated, we're going to be able to work and think better. When you're dehydrated, your brain has a lack of oxygen supply. And so we're choking our mind and we're wondering why we can't do it.
Well, it affects our mood, our irritability, our anxiety, our depression when we're dehydrated. And I love you so much.
Should I get some brains ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone say, Whitney loves me.
Whitney loves me.
Okay. I'm telling you this because I had to learn this. Because if you're taking ibuprofen every day, twice a week for headaches, the likelihood is that you're dehydrated. And here's what you got to understand. Coffee is not water. Tea is not water. I know that they boil water and then they put the tea bags in the water, but it's not actually water.
Right.
It's a diuretic. It's taking away your water. Soda is not water. Brady, even diet soda is not water. And the worst of all not waters is energy drinks. They will give you a kidney stone, is proven, but also it's not water. And that's why you see me with 3 cups is because I'm trying to counteract what I'm trying to learn. I'm still trying to learn it. I'm progressive sanctification, so I got my water and I got my coffee, but now I put my protein in my coffee, so at least it has a function.
Guys, we're talking about how to better our headspace.
But just drink some water.
And yeah, just because you drank 5 cups of coffee, it's probably worse than not drinking any.
Right.
It's a diuretic. It's pulling water out of your cell structure. And so for me, I have to wake up in the morning and drink a big glass of water.
Right.
Just shove it down.
Right.
You are hard pressed to find one of us. We don't have them on Sundays. Well, I have it backstage right now. A big bottle of water. I'm carrying it around just to get it in. Whitney likes to carry a cute little cup. I'll carry a Home Depot bucket. I don't care as long as I'm getting my water in.
My cup today is blue. It matches my shirt. You can carry it as an accessory to your life, and therefore you feel like, see, it's beautiful. Get you a cute cup that you feel excited about putting water in. You can add elements. You're an element guy?
Yeah, LMNT. I am not sponsored, but hello, Element, get me. It's like a salt additive that helps your body hold on to your hydration. Something I learned that helped me a ton was that your body sends the same signal when it's thirsty or hungry. So most of the time at night when I'm standing in the pantry just trying to eat my kids' snacks, right? I'm just eating just all the cookie grams or whatever they're called, just eating them all. I'm not actually hungry. I'm thirsty. And so if I'll stay hydrated, I'm eating less just because that signal of satiety doesn't have to be dealt with.
But the reason it matters is because maybe you're mean to your family because you're just dehydrated. Right. Maybe you can't make your sales goal because your brain is foggy because you're dehydrated.
Maybe your back, my back hurts because it just doesn't have enough water in that musculature to be able to move.
Maybe you can't poop and you're constipated and your belly hurts. I'm a mom, I'm gonna tell you, drink your water. How much water did you have to drink? Like 3 John 2:2 says, dear friends, I hope all is well with you and that you are as healthy in body as you are strong in spirit.
Yeah.
This is really an understanding that in order to be strong in spirit, we have to be healthy in our bodies.
True.
And for some of us, we have to look at ourselves and go, maybe some of the unhealth in my spirit that's happening is due to the fact that I just haven't drank enough water.
All right, we did it.
We did it.
Hydration. Number 3. You guys good? Well, okay. Do we need some brains?
This next one is fun.
There we go. Blood work. Blood work. Going and putting your arm on a table and let some stranger stab you with a needle and steal some of your blood is what we're talking about next. I remember how hard it was in 2020, and one of the most frustrating pieces about that Truston that we put up on my Fat Truston montage is because I was going to the gym. I was eating the right amount of calories, but yet it felt like nothing was changing.
Right.
It was like no matter what I tried, I was walking in sand and couldn't make progress. And I'm telling you, we tried everything. Our families, we tried all kind of stuff. We did keto.
Yeah, we did.
We did juice fasts. You remember, I bought a juicer and I was like putting grass clippings and junk in there and just eating that. We tried Optavia, which is like chemical bars. And dude, I was doing CrossFit and HIIT training. I was doing intermittent fasting. I was doing everything, but not making any.
They say you can eat a brownie every night. No, it's not a brownie. It's just chemicals. It's just chemicals and it's not good.
Yeah. And so
you wanna die.
I was trying everything, but I knew something was missing. It was like there was something missing that was like unfair. And I'm telling you, the hack is get your blood work done. Let me give you some Bible. Leviticus 17:14. It says, the life of every creature is in its blood. The life, now this is out of context, but not. The life in us is found in the vitality of our blood. And so for me, I remember talking to my primary care doctor and saying, man, I just feel like junk, dude. Like I'm falling asleep. I just don't have any energy. I'm working out. I'm eating right. I'm not losing any weight.
Right.
I'll lose 6 pounds and I'll eat 1 sandwich and gain 9 pounds. Like I don't understand what's happening. And so I did some blood work. And I was nervous. I passed out the first time. It's a really funny story. I don't have time to tell it.
No.
But I was scared, you know? It's like, I would rather get punched in the face than have some random lady stab me with a needle. But I gave my blood and I learned some stuff. I learned that my A1C was off, which just meant that I was 1 point away from being pre-diabetic. And my doctor put up this little chart and I realized I'm like at the very edge of the yellow, like almost into red. And I was like, man, I better get this thing pulled together. I was super low in my vitamin D. Vitamin D plus K2 is the primary building block of all hormone production. So if you're lacking vitamin D, your body can't produce the hormones that it needs. And the darker you are in skin tone, so I'm of Middle Eastern descent, to all my Hispanic and African American friends, the darker your skin is, the harder it is for you to upregulate vitamin D from the sun, because it's harder to get through our skin. And so we have to be really intentional to get that vitamin D in.
Yeah.
And so I'm a jump all the way in kind of guy. And so my doctor was like, you need to take this and this and this. And so I, all the time, carry a pocket full of vitamins. I already took about this many vitamins for breakfast. And all day, I'm taking vitamins throughout because I realize that I have to navigate the imbalances in me. I take a probiotic. I take thyroid support now. I take a bunch of B vitamins, omega-3 fatty acids. I started magnesium, like Pastor Whitney said. I take Ziapan. You know what Ziapan is? Dude, Ziapan, if you have digestion issues, you need to take Ziapan. Ziapan, I don't even know if you're a sponsor. I don't know, call your boy. We take all these antacids. Antacids reduce stomach acid, But what we need to have more stomach acid. So you take something to help you produce more stomach acid. It's all natural. And I'm telling you, it all changed my life.
Well, for me, it was hard because I went and did all the blood panels, found out a lot of things. Also, like, I'm white and I was low in vitamin D because the world we live in is meant to kill us.
It's true.
80% of Americans are vitamin D deficient.
Well, and how often are you out without all your clothes on in the sun?
Because
Not
you're
very
supposed
often.
to be, arms and legs exposed between 10 and 4 hours a day. And I'm like, oh, that's not, none of us do that. And so like I put off that and my thyroid for almost a couple years because I just didn't want to swallow pills, which is absurd. You can start with gummies, like you can do all kinds of, but when I was able to take some of those, then I recognized, oh, I'm not depressed.
Right.
I'm vitamin D deficient.
Right.
I thought I was depressed. I was about to ask my doctor, what kind of medication can I get on for my depression? And when they said, no, you're just vitamin D deficient, and if you don't have the sun, you're sad. It's very real. Then it was able to shift my headspace, and I was able to start walking in the freedom of peace and joy that God had for me, literally because, and so now if you talk to me ever about it, I will literally say, are you on magnesium and vitamin D? That's literally like the first thing I say, because it changed my life.
Right, and so maybe you don't need another sermon, you need another supplement. And so it's why we're talking about it today. This is a very weird Sunday, right? We're not telling a Bible story or preaching a normal idea, but it's spiritual.
Yeah.
Because what's happening in us is affecting our headspace.
Yeah.
Okay, before we get into this next part, I just want to tell you, you're worth it. You're worth learning about this. You're worth spending the money on yourself to go to the doctor and get your blood work done. Some of you do so good at taking care of everybody else.
Right.
Take care of everybody else.
Right.
And they're gonna plan your funeral 10 years early. I love you with my whole heart.
Right.
And so I want you to love yourself, to take care of yourself. Because he's doing a new thing. God's doing a new thing in us. And so we're stepping into a season of health that we have to confidently step into.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, there is a money barrier, right? Like this is not free all the time. If you have insurance, that's gonna help. And there's a money barrier to getting your blood work done or to be buying supplements, but I wanna challenge that just a little bit. If you go to a restaurant 3 times a week, you can afford getting your blood work done. I get my blood work done quarterly. Every quarter, it costs me $300. So that's $1,200 a year for me to understand what's happening in me. So you can afford that if you'll make some changes. If you have a car payment that's over $500 a month, you could make a change and get this vehicle healthier than that vehicle. I'm driving a $3,000 truck because I had to make a choice. What do I want to drive around in?
Right.
Do I want to drive around in this, or do I want to be flexing in the parking lot? And so it's possible to do it. You just have to make the choice.
And I think for moms especially, like it's not vanity and it's not selfishness to take care of yourself, even along with everybody else. We take care of everybody else. And we say, I'll get to it. I think that was for you and I. We'd been saying like, we'll get to it at some point. Once the church gets this XYZ space, once this happens, then we'll make space to rest and really learn and understand our health. But it was like, until COVID just literally shut the world down and we literally got to our breaking point, it was like, oh, when are you ever gonna make space? If you don't make it, it's gonna make it for you. And so it's not vanity, it's not selfishness. It is an inconvenience. But not going and not knowing is silly. Like, I want to press on that because I know for some people, getting a diagnosis feels like the most terrifying thing that could possibly happen because in your life, there's some very traumatic things surrounding by other people's diagnosis or your own. But hiding from getting a diagnosis is not helping anyone or anything. Instead, allowing yourself to see it and understand it so that you can do what you can. Some things are out of our control, but you can do what you can to help yourself get to the next step.
It's called my crazy. And sometimes that's our crazy, is we don't want to get the diagnosis, so we don't even go. But that doesn't mean that the diagnosis isn't there.
Right.
So once a year, I get blood drawn 4 times a year. One of the times I spend $40 more. And they do another panel and it checks if I have any cancerous cells in my body.
Right.
For $40, I can have the peace to know that there's not something growing somewhere that needs to be addressed. And so don't avoid it. And I think one of the reasons we don't go to talk to a doctor is because we're afraid that they're gonna tell us to change our lifestyle. and like we don't want to, and we haven't been really good at it in the past, but maybe you're trying to change without the nutrients that you need. I'm telling you, man, when I got the right vitamins that I needed, it's changed my life. And so just going and doing that is gonna help you make a lot of progress. If your car started running bad, you would have to pop the hood. You're not just gonna wait till the engine seizes up. And so for some of us, we just have to pop the hood and go and see what's happening in the blood. That's
really good.
Okay. Am I supposed to talk next?
Yeah, you say the thing about you did your own research.
Oh yeah, okay, so I did my own research on this, and I went to YouTube University and I started talking to a bunch of people, and I learned that there's a difference between acceptable and optimal. Acceptable. So if you talk to a lot of doctors, they're gonna tell you there's an acceptable range. Let's take vitamin D ranges. You're in the acceptable range. Yeah, but that's compared to like the average of Americans that are really unhealthy. But then there's optimal, that's like, what is your body really designed to function at? And so I chose that I'm gonna push towards optimal. And the marker of health is in the composition of the blood. So you have to know what's happening in the blood. The blood is in the body, and the body holds the brain, and the brain holds the mind, right?
Right. Oh, there.
And I've never heard this talked about, this next part, I've never heard talked about publicly in church, ever. Everyone say ever. I've never heard it talked about, but I love you a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Like Pastor Whitney and I said, we use our lives as a canvas to paint truth upon, and so that's what we're doing today. And so the next thing we want to talk about are our hormones. Having an understanding of what's happening in your body hormonally. Hormones are the master controllers of all of your physiology. If your hormones are off, no running is gonna fix it. If your hormones are off, no weightlifting is gonna fix it. If your hormones are off, no counseling is gonna be able to fix the physiology of what's happening in your body. No amount of praying, unless God does a supernatural healing in your body, is gonna fix that thing. And sometimes our hormones get all out of whack for a bunch of reasons, and then we're fighting an uphill battle. And I wish I would have heard somebody talk to me about this when I was 35. I wish somebody in my life would have said, hey, Truston, have you got your blood work done? Have you checked your hormone levels? Have you figured out like if you're actually healthy? Because man, maybe you're not actually depressed and sad, and maybe your weight gain isn't because you're just a dummy, but maybe there's something that you're fighting at a disadvantage.
Yeah, and we kind of got nervous to talk about it because you have to do your own research. You have to trust the leading of the Holy Spirit. If you walk in a doctor's office and you don't feel peace about it, go to a different doctor's office. This is a really important thing that you can't just jump right into without studying it and understanding it, because there's a lot of people trying to sell a lot of different things. But we feel so strongly about it because, because the enemy is out to steal, to kill, and destroy everything in our lives. And so ladies, I'm just gonna talk about it. We have a monthly cycle every month that is controlled by hormonal changes in our bodies.
Right.
And those hormonal changes affect us differently from week to week. Like literally, we can like love our husband one week and be like, don't even touch me, talk to me the next week. And that can be super confusing for them and for us.
Just a little.
Just a little. But we have to understand the hormonal things that are happening inside of us, because if we don't, then we're not aware and we can't do anything about it. But I want to speak to it really clearly. It's about awareness, not excuses. We do not get to use, I'm a woman with a hormonal imbalance, therefore get over it that I'm rude to you today. We do not get to say, oh, I'm PMSing, and so this is the way it is. I know it's weird. We're talking about it in church. I know it's weird. But we have to talk about it because self-awareness is adjusting ourselves in real time, being aware of what's happening in my headspace and adjusting it and navigating it in real time so that I can make change. And so, go ahead.
You know how, you ever been hangry? Like you just haven't eaten in a little while and you're kind of mean? That's what our hormone balances and imbalances do times 10.
Right.
But nobody ever talked to me about this, about what's happening in us. And so I'm so thankful that
you can get an app and put it on your phone to track it, because ain't none of us got time or energy to track all that all on our own. But ladies, if you can pay attention to what phase you're in your month for every month, it will change your life in your self-awareness of why I woke up happy, but by the time I got to work, I wanted to bite everyone's head off. It will help us in the awareness to understand, oh, I felt good, but then I got home and tripped over like some Legos, and now I'm ticked off and I want to rage at my whole family, but over just some Legos. It's not that big a deal, but yet I have not been aware of what's happening hormonally in me. All right, it's real. We got to talk about it. So ladies, in our 20s and 30s, that is our peak hormonal balanced season. However, they be trying to put us on birth control when we turn 15. And that jacks with our system and our hormones. And
the world's trying to kill us.
The world, as we live in, is trying to kill us. And so your peak fertility is actually in your 20s and early 30s. But the world we live in tells us to wait until at least 35 to start thinking about that, because we got to get all our other junk in order because of all of our headspace chaos. That tells us we got to prove ourselves before we become mamas, because we don't think that mamas is an important job in the world, even though it's the greatest ministry that you can ever have. We have to be aware. We have to be aware of where we're at. And so in our 20s and 30s is an optimal season of our fertility, but also of our hormones being in balance. But if it starts to feel out of balance, hey, there are life stresses, traumas, disruptors like medications that can cause all kind of disruption in our estrogen, in our progesterone, in our testosterone. Ladies, we have testosterone too. And if all of a sudden you feel lack of energy and you can't even that's where I was at in 2020. I would say every morning I felt like I had to just pull myself up from my bootstraps every single day. What I found out was that my testosterone had crashed where I literally had none in me. You have to go and get it checked to understand why all of a sudden do we have acne like we're 12 again? Why is my cycle irregular? Why? What about PCOS? What about PMS? What about UTIs? All these acronyms, right, that are jacking up our life if we aren't aware of the hormonal imbalances in us. Maybe there's weight gain or brain fog or fatigue. If I've said anything that at all, any lady, I promise all the ladies in the room yep, been there. You gotta go get it checked. If you've got decreased libido, that is not God's intention for your life and for your marriage. That is not the way it's supposed to be. However, the world we live in is designed to kill us. So it's okay to go to a doctor and actually talk to them about what's happening in your bedroom. That's not weird. That's their job.
Right.
And we have to get over the stigma and the embarrassment to talk about it. Because really and truly, I had lots of people that were willing to have conversations with me. You're talking about research. He did YouTube University. I just did Lobby Conversation University. And then other friends where I was where are you doing? What are you going? Who have you talked to? We have to not be embarrassed to say, hey, here's where I'm struggling. If we're willing to go to life group and say, hey, me and my husband got in a fight and it was all his fault. We have to also be willing to say, hey, I've been really irritable and frustrated lately and I don't know why. Where are you at in your life and what's going on? Because in our 40s, perimenopause hits, in our 50s, menopause hits, in our 60s, postmenopause hits, and y'all, it can make us crazy. And I know, forgive me all the men in the room, thank you for being patient while we talk about it. However, there is a phenomenon of women, of what's happening right now in our world, of women in their 40s and 50s who are leaving their families, who are abandoning everything and saying, I gave all my energy and all my time and all the things, and now I just don't have time for that anymore. I'm gonna now step into what I need for me, into the next half of my life. And it's not actually true. Your family loves you. You just have no tolerance right now because your hormones are jacked. Your husband and you are fighting about the same thing you've been fighting about for the last 15 years, but all of a sudden your hormones said, I ain't standing for that no more. And we have to be real about it and attack the schemes of the enemy to destroy the families and say, as for me and my house, I'm gonna go get my blood work done. So I can be aware and not be a crazy mom and leave my home.
Would you talk a little, what's it called after a lady has a baby? And then there's right after a lady has a baby, postpartum.
Postpartum.
Would you talk a little bit?
Absolutely.
There?
No, when you have a baby, your hormones are at their peak, intensity. And then the minute the baby comes out, your hormones do this, completely crash. No one talks to us about this. We're in the hospital, what the junk just happened to me? What the junk happened to my body? Now I'm going home, getting no sleep, while my hormones are completely crashed and I'm sad. And I feel ashamed to tell anyone that this beautiful gift that God's given me, I actually kind of don't like right now.
and the dude you're married to just has no idea, like doesn't know how to help and is trying, is not doing a good job and all the
No,
things.
it's true. And so the reason we're spending time talking about it on Sunday morning is because we understand that God designed us to be in unity with each other. But the only way we can be in unity is communication and being willing to take things that are in the dark and bring it to the light and say, here's where I'm at. And so if you're struggling with postpartum depression, there is literally no shame in that. I know women on our staff who walked through it, and I'll point you to them. They will talk to you about it. They will share their story with you because we're in this together.
Right.
And the only way that we can fight it is being in the journey together, not alone.
It's
Is
great.
that what you wanted me to say?
No, yeah, thank you. It's perfect.
Okay.
For guys, we hormonally are more long-term or monthly stable in our production, except there's something that happens as we age that it falls off and crashes. And so for me, you know, I had real stable hormone levels, I would assume, in my 20s and 30s. And then when Rachel had Lillian, our first daughter, something shifted. There's something that God instilled in us as men that once that baby comes and you hear that baby cry, you literally start to produce more estrogen, and it makes you emotionally softer. Because what that baby needs is a softer dad, a more gentle dad, right? And so now your testosterone's a little bit lower, your estrogen's a little bit higher, but I wasn't aware that this was happening. And so then I'm home and I'm sitting with her and I'm stressed out because of work. So I start eating my feelings a little bit more. I start putting on some more weight. And did you know that fat is an organ? I didn't realize this. Fat is an organ in your body, and it produces and it pulls away hormones. And so as my body is not producing the testosterone that it used to, and I'm now creating more estrogen and getting fatter, that fat is producing sex hormone binding globulin that is grabbing all of my free test and it is storing it away, not even accessible to me. And all of a sudden, I'm really tired. And it's not that I'm irritable, it's that I just don't even really know who I am all the way anymore. I don't have the same power that I used to, and I'm depressed in my own self. And I think that a lot of guys start to have affairs in this season of life because they're looking for something to kick them back to life.
Correct.
And it's not that they need to get kicked back to life externally.
Right.
It's they need to realize what's happening on them side internally.
Come on.
Do you understand the world we're living in is killing us? Microplastics, soy consumption for men is huge. That we're eating all of this soy, and it's literally driving our natural testosterone numbers into the ground. The testosterone numbers of a man in his 20s now is lower than what it was in our grandpas when they were 70. It's crazy what's happening in our society, and we have to start paying attention to this. So, and I wasn't even aware, and so I go to my doctor and I talk to him about what's going on, and he's showing me all these numbers, and he's like, hey man, your thyroid is in the dumps. It's like, okay, well, what is my thyroid doing? He starts talking about how it's regulating my appetite, and it's how it's regulating my ability to burn calories and all this stuff. And so I started taking a bunch of B vitamins. That was the beginning, and it got a little bit better, and started taking some other complex stuff of vitamins, natural. And then he said, hey, Truston, your thyroid is just not bouncing back. You have two options. You can take a synthetic drug, or you can take desiccated pig thyroid, which is they take a pig's thyroid gland, turn it into dust, and make it a pill, and you eat it. So it's like bacon in a pill every morning, right? And it's a medication. And so people are like, Pastor, how did you lose all this weight? Well, I slept, and I drank some water, and I worked out, and I ate right, and I got my thyroid fixed. So now I take a thyroid medication, and it's fixed that. It's allowed my body to shed the weight that it's carrying. And he started to look at my testosterone numbers about what was going on. And there's a bunch of different options for your testosterone. You can start taking vitamin D. I'm telling you, if you're not taking a vitamin D supplement, what are you even doing? I didn't know this. And so that started producing your master hormones back. And then there's a bunch of peptides you could take. You could take exogenous testosterone, which is a shot. You could take enclomiphene, which is what I did for a season. Enclomiphene is what they give guys that can't have a baby. So if you're a young guy and can't have a baby, they'll give you enclomiphene, and it kicks your testicles back into action, right? You start producing to have a baby. But the other thing it does is it brings your testosterone levels back. Because for guys, what we don't talk about is that when you suffer a big loss, your testosterone drops off. And so in the same way, so Lillian's born, we have this cute little baby, I'm feeling a little bit softer emotionally, but then the land swap falls apart, and I suffer this loss in me, and I feel like a loser, and this starts to affect the physiology. And so I crashed. And so I'm going to the doctor as a 35-year-old man, feeling like a 90-year-old man, and he said, hey man, you just have to start taking some vitamins and regulate your hormones, and you're gonna come back to life. you know, you see these family movies and there's always like the grandmas in the kitchen and they're up and laughing and talking, and who's over in the corner in his rocking chair? Grandpa. And so what happens is if we don't take care of ourselves, we just disappear into the corners. And so, but if we'll take our own health into our hands, we can't wait till the engine seizes up and a doctor just puts us in a hospital. We have to take our own health into our hands and say, man, I don't feel right. This world is trying to kill me. These Doritos I've been eating for 25 years have not been helping me any. And take your health back.
No, it's really good. I think understanding what you said, that there are all these endocrine disruptors in our world. Like for ladies, cosmetics is like a thing I could talk about for a long time because I used to be in the cosmetic industry. Like there's all kind of these pieces that like are affecting us. But one of the stats that really got me like, this is why it's so important to talk about, is that 1 in 10 Americans over the age of 12 are on an antidepressant. 1 in 10 over the age of 12. And when I realized I was about to be one of those people, but literally because my vitamin D was off so bad, I'm like, this is an important piece in understanding the whole body health that God intended for our life. And the world that he designed for us to live in is not the world we live in today. And so maybe you need prescription medication for some of those things, or maybe you have a deficiency that needs to be looked at. And so my challenge or like request to you would be, just before you decide to go on some sort of antidepressant or some type of medication, that you would let your blood work at least be checked first to determine what are some of the other deficiencies in your life, because you might solve it a lot simpler than you think.
Yeah, so a lot of these antidepressants that are out there, like Pastor Whitney just said, maybe you should take it for a season, but they're called SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Serotonin is the feel-good hormone.
Right.
And so these things are literally suppressing the feel-good hormone in us that can lead to real problems in the long run. And so maybe it's that maybe you don't need to suppress something. Maybe you need to boost something up. Something I forgot to say about men, you know, you said that women in that age of life start to leave their families. For men, the suicide rate for men jumps way up in their 40s. And it's because your internal health starts to tank and you don't have what you used to have. And so you feel like if this is just all that it is and I can't conquer the problems in life, then I would just exit early. And so guys, before you or a friend would make that drastic decision, just go and get some tests done. Maybe there's literally something internally that's not right. I visited 3 doctors before I found anybody who fit like they were right. I told Rachel, hey, I want you to come with me, because sometimes, they always have better intuition than we do. And so I remember she went to the first guy with me, and we go in and the doctor comes in and he's got like a big vein in his forehead. He's like, hey man, we're gonna get you yoked up. And I was like, I don't think this is the guy. Like, I want to be healthy at 70. I don't think this is the guy, you know? And so it took a little while for me to find a doctor that could really help me understand myself for long-term health.
Yeah, it's really good. Okay, go to the next one.
Are we okay? Should we throw some brains out? Do we need it? Okay. Next one, we'll go quickly, is exercise. Everybody say exercise. If exercise was a pill, it would be the most sold pill ever created.
Right.
Exercise is so good for us, and we're not saying that you have to turn into a gym bro.
Right.
We're just saying that it's important to get up and get moving. In the garden, Adam and Eve would have been up and moving and bending and jumping and doing these things, but we live in a world where we're sitting and watching and eating. We're sitting and watching and eating. We walk to our car to sit in it, to drive to our house to sit in it. But when we would exercise and be a little bit intentional, man, your body will start to heal itself.
Yeah, and don't deceive yourself that like, I did the laundry today, so then I exercised today. Like, I think it's important nowadays, like we can count our steps. We can pay attention to some of the things that that maybe we couldn't as easily pay attention to before. But
we have to just increase our heart rate.
Come on.
So we have to get some weight on our musculature, on our skeleton system. For ladies, one of the things you guys face different than men is osteoporosis. And so that's bone loss. But the greatest way to fight bone loss is to put load on your body.
Right.
And so if you'll just go lift some weights, you don't have to lift crazy weights. You're gonna tell your body to, if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. The reason that people many times get sent to old folks home is because they can't just do this. You just can't stand up. You start to lose your muscles. And the way you keep your muscles is through working them.
Right.
You hear lifespan.
Right.
But it's not just about lifespan, it's about health span. What's your health span gonna be? And then before that is your sex span. Because if something in your sex life is broken, I read a stat that it said, is this okay for me to share?
You're doing it, go.
I read a stat that said that when men start to experience erectile dysfunction, 35% of them have a heart attack within 7 years. Guys, it's all connected.
Right.
If the blood's not flowing, the blood's not flowing. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to pay attention to this stuff. So your sex span leads to your health span, leads to your lifespan. And if we'll pay attention to our exercise, because if you're keeping your heart beating on the treadmill, your heartbeat's gonna keep beating at Christmas with your family.
Well, it's so good because our increased heart rate leads to longevity, and like cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in America. Period. After first service, I had a lady come up to me in tears and she said, thank you for talking about this. My husband died of a heart attack at 42 and he shouldn't have, but no one ever talked to him about it. And the truth of the matter is, if we will increase our heart rate 2 to 3 times a week, lift weights 3 times a week, like I know the hurdles of it in the world that we live in is created to kill us, right? So we don't have time and space. I remember years ago starting a new job, and Aaron had gotten really consistent with his working out, and he had the routine and a schedule, but because I got this new job, I had to change when I was leaving, and he had to start taking the kids to work, which jacked up his routine and schedule. And in 6 weeks, he lost all of the effort it had taken him 6 months to build. But we have to be intentional to say, I'm gonna find the space for that again, because it's more important that I'm alive for my family in 10 years. So I'm gonna increase my heart rate and I'm gonna lift some weights so that I can withstand it.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're not really insecure, maybe you just are anxious and you just need to go for a run. Maybe you need to walk outside. There's nothing more proven to affect your mental health than exercise. If you get out in nature and take a walk, put on a weighted vest, ladies, come on, let's make our neighborhoods awesome, right? And walk around outside, it will decrease your depression and your anxiety, and you will see yourself start to step into the more that God has
Just
you.
some air squats, just some push-ups, put some Taibo on in your living room. I don't know what you gotta do. Just get moving a little bit. You're gonna feel better.
That's a blast from the
Is
past.
it Taibo? Is that what it's called?
That's like the 90s, bro.
Yeah, well, I'm old.
VHS tapes.
Okay, cortisol. Have you guys heard of cortisol? Cortisol is known as the stress.
We're almost done, we promise.
Is known as, am I okay?
Yeah,
Is
go.
known as the stress hormone. Here's how it works. Cortisol is important because it helps keep us safe. So back in the day, you're out in the woods eating berries or whatever, right? And you see a tiger, and this tiger starts to chase you. So what happens is your body does an adrenaline dump, and then cortisol is coming all throughout your system, and it stops your digestion. Because you don't need to be digesting while you're running or fighting a tiger, right? You don't need to. Your body is prioritizing some other things. And so then you would run from the tiger or you would fight the tiger, which is what? Extreme exercise. All this activity is happening. And then if you lived, you calm down. And then because you lived and you calm down, your cortisol decreases. But we live in a world without real tigers. And so we get stress from emails or from work or from a phone call or this anxiety that comes on us. And do you know what happens? Adrenaline dump, cortisol is released. But if you're not exercising, that cortisol is just living in your bloodstream. And it's causing you to be inflamed all the time and stressed out and stop your digestion and hold on to weight that you don't want to hold on to. Friends, if you will work out for 30 minutes, your cortisol level will drop by 50% every time. And so one of the reasons I go to the gym so consistently is so that I can navigate my stress.
Yeah. Right.
Because though I don't want to go in the morning when my alarm goes off, when I leave, me and Kyle are literally high-fiving in the parking lot because we're like, we did it. I feel great. I'm ready to conquer my day.
Well, I think for ladies especially, like this was the hardest one for me to take the step in, and like Aaron approached it on the right day at the right time, because you know sometimes ladies, when they're like, I would love to go with you to the gym, right? And I will help you, and you're just like, cute. All you have to do is not eat like after 7 p.m. for 5 days and you lost 50 pounds. It's really cool for you. But on the right day at the right time, he just was like, hey, you're about to be 40 next year, and I can see that you're doing all of these things here and making all this change and effort, but hey, you ought to try to see how this will help you if you go. And I'm telling you, the stress level, I did not realize how much stress I was holding on to until I started letting it go in the gym. And we can feel intimidated because like, everyone's looking at me. No, they're just hoping you're looking at them. Like no one is like, And I'm like, I'm not a cutie booty. Like, I'm not getting my makeup on before I go. I'm just gonna go sweat. My face is gonna turn beet red. That's just the way it is. And I had to decide that that was more important than my insecurity of the gym. And some of us just gotta get over ourselves and our insecurity because our kids need us. Our grandkids need us. They need us around, they need us healthy, and they need us to be the best emotionally healthy moms that we can be.
Well, and our lives are now just easily sedentary.
Right.
Like, not many of us are bricklayers anymore. We're not out doing these hard manual jobs, forcing our bodies to work. We're at desk, we're at computers, I'm in meetings, talking, eating the whole time. And it's like, if I don't make myself move, I'll never move.
Right.
I went and bought the Apple Watch years ago, and I was like, yeah, I move all the time. And if I'm not intentional, I'll only take 3,000 steps a day. But now that I've got it, I'm intentional, I'm fighting to get 10,000 steps a day. And so it's hard, but it's easy.
Right.
It's really hard, but it's not as hard. It's simple once you get going. Okay, last one, point number 5, nutrition. Everyone say, yay! Yeah, nay, nutrition. Most of our food isn't even food. Like, if it's in a bag or a box that can live on a shelf for 4 months, like, is it even food? And I fall victim to it all the time. Like, today, I'm like, Rachel, what are we doing for lunch? I'm gonna try to talk her into going to Babes. You know what I'm saying? Dude, let me get some of the mashed potatoes for lunch. It's easy to fall into, she's like, okay. It's easy to fall into it. But look what the Bible says. 1 Corinthians 10:21 says this. So whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God.
Right.
And I had to learn along the way that every bite I take doesn't have to be a party in my mouth. Because if every bite is a party in my mouth, I'm gonna only have to keep buying bigger pants. And so, like, there's a change that has to happen.
And the reason why that was true is because we were looking for places to celebrate because we were stressed everywhere.
Right.
And so we would go to lunch for a lunch meeting, and then we would come up with the most happiest, most wonderful lunch that we could come up with because we were just stressed out. And so now, when we flip that into making food fuel, and understanding that, like, oh, if I eat this, then I'm gonna be sleepy after lunch, which means when I get home, I'm gonna be exhausted, which means I'm gonna give my family the least part of me.
Right.
Then I understood, oh, I have to start using this as fuel, not just a party.
During COVID, there was one of the days we were going to shoot a video and Rachel went with us, and I was trying to talk them to go to Mellow Mushroom. It's a pizza place. And Rachel's like, Truston, if you eat that, you're just gonna fall asleep while you're trying to do the video. And I was like,
so?
like, thank you. But she's right.
Right.
You go and eat like 1 billion carbs for lunch, you're gonna crash at 4 o'clock. And so once I started to understand that my nutrition was affecting my headspace, I started to fight the
One of the biggest things that was helpful was to just actually write it down.
Yeah.
You think that you're eating good and you think that you're not eating things that bad, but then when you actually write it down, all of it down, not the stuff you're embarrassed and don't want people to read, all of it, you write it down, you realize, oh shoot, I'm actually eating more than I should.
I've got an app on my phone, it's free, it's called MyFitnessPal, sponsor me. And so I write down what I eat, and you realize, like, oh, I'm eating like 1,500 calories more than my body actually needs. And we start to pay attention to it, it helps a lot.
And everybody's different. Everybody's blood is different, and therefore your blood is actually determines what you should be eating, how you should eat. But you've got to ask yourself a couple questions. Am I eating enough protein? Am I eating enough fiber? Like, those are huge to the nutrition, the digestion of your life, like the health and vitality. And so we're not telling you a specific meal plan to be on or anything like that, but you've just got to find what works for you and then actually try to do that.
And if you'll start to meal prep, you're gonna save yourself a ton of money. You know, and so I'll grill up a bunch of steaks and chicken on Sunday afternoon or Monday, and then I've got it throughout the week, and it helps me to stay focused. Rachel said, yes, he does, right? Rachel's like, thank God that he's cooking all this food.
Yeah, go
okay.
That thing.
So right now, I mean, weight is a battle for a lot of us. It was a big battle for me. It's a battle. And so now there's all of these new peptides that are essentially amino acids, but just more of them in your stomach, that are coming out to help people lose weight. And one you'll see a lot of advertised is a GLP-1. So that's Wegovy, semaglutide, right? Mounjaro, all these things. And so my opinion to that is go talk to your doctor about it. Maybe talk to a couple doctors about it. Because I could talk for a really long time about it, but what's worse, being 100 pounds overweight or taking synthetic medication for 6 months to drop that weight down? There's dangers for both. And so we just have to really weigh, what are we gonna do? Because if you've tried everything on your own and you just can't seem to get a handle on it, then maybe you need some help for a season. All of us have another hormone in us that's called ghrelin, and we can have more ghrelin receptors. And so some people are just hungrier than other people. I am hungrier than Rachel is. I'm just hungrier than she is. And so I have more ghrelin receptors in me that makes me want to think about food more. And so sometimes you might need a little bit of help to get some victory and to reset your metabolism. Now, if you're gonna get into GLP-1, you've gotta be really careful. Because the reason they're dangerous is because people get on them and they just don't eat anything. And so they don't eat any protein. And they're not lifting weights. And you know what they lose? Not just weight, they lose muscle. And the most important thing you can have, it's like a shield for your body, is your muscle. It's gonna help you age well. The thing that burns calories is your muscle. And so if you get on a GLP-1, you'd better be eating protein and you'd better be lifting weights, or you're gonna have a problem. And you don't have to take as much as they're selling you. Because if I'm selling something, I wanna sell as much as I can. You know what I'm saying? So just be really careful to talk to somebody, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because getting that weight off is gonna help you a lot.
Yeah.
It's gonna help you a lot.
Y'all, we love you so much.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
We love you so much. And the reason why we talked about this today is because we believe that our crazy can be affected by our body.
Yeah.
And that if we can work our best to have the healthiest bodies that we can have, then out of the outflow of that health, we can have flourishing relationships. For me,
Right.
flourishing relationships was the factor that, it was the motivator. It was the thing that got me I want to not wake up and have to pull myself up by my bootstraps because I'm not kind to my children in the morning, because I'm short-tempered with my husband. I want to be the kind of mom that they want to come home on Christmas, that they want to spend time with me at a weekly family dinner night when they don't live in my house anymore. But I'm not gonna be that lady if I'm cranky and depressed and anxious and rude and inconsiderate. And so if I wanna fight the generational curses in my family, I have to have the energy to do that. And so the fight for me was this flourishing relationships for the people around me. I don't want to keep feeling I don't want to go there anymore. I want to be excited to get to engage with the people that God's placed in my life. And so the flourishing relationships are the outflow of my health. That was the motivator for me.
For me, the major motivator was future capacity, that I want to be able to do all that God's called me to do in the future. My hope is to be married to that lady in the next 30 years. And the husband she gets in 30 years is fully determined by the decision this guy makes today. And so I had to start making different decisions so I could be married to her and I could walk that little one down the aisle someday and take her kids on vacation someday. And so the future capacity was a big deal.
And then I think out of that outflow, the full piece was just this byproduct that we were so needing, but not even all the way expecting. That in the midst of COVID chaos, we could find peace. Like you said, that's where Get Off the Throne was birthed. That's where Phony Faith was birthed. That's where the culture of this house that is today was birthed out of the peace that surpassed the understanding of the season and the circumstances that we were in. Right. Because we made the change to be healthy people holistically.
This is not fun stuff that we talked about today. It's not enjoyable, and it really doesn't even feel like a sermon a little bit. But what we're trying to do is defeat the cognitive dissonance. We're trying to just bring it up for conversation, because maybe nobody in your life has talked to you about it. We really love you, and we really want more for you.
Yeah.
We want more for your future. We want more for your family. And maybe the answer is just examining how healthy your body is to help what's happening in your headspace. Seriously?
I told you, I got both of them, and they look cute, and they match my outfit, y'all.
Or you can just get a little functional that goes with everything, and then you're ready to rock.
Hey, I hope that this message really helped you and impacted you and challenged you. That's the goal, is just to take a few steps to be stepping into the more that God has for you.
Yeah.
And even if you are not here in the building, you're still a part of the More Church family.
Man, we're really glad that you're here and a part of what's happening.
That's right.
So we want you to feel connected, that you're a part of the ministry here at More Church. And so just take the next right step.
That's right.
As you're talking about your health, don't get overwhelmed with trying to tackle all 5 steps this week. just take one into health.
You know, I hope that if you're ever in the area, though, you'll stop by on a Sunday at 9 and 11. We're here every week, and we'd love to meet you, get to know you in person.
Yeah.
We hope that also you'd be willing to partner with us as we continue to reach more people with the good news of Jesus and how he can help us step into the more in every area of our life. And so you can give by scanning the QR code. You can give online at more.church/give. But man, be a part of the family.
I love you guys so much. We'll see you next time.